Hello and welcome to Beyond the Plate with Carol, where we will explore food and a little beyond. So come along with me on this journey and see what we uncover. We are here at the studio at the Beacon, and I'm so excited about today's conversation. Tom Boucher, welcome. I'm so glad that you made it over. So Tom has been on my old radio show before, which means that some of you, already probably know his voice. But for anyone hearing your story for the first time today, Tom, can you give us a refresh? Can you, who you are, what Great New Hampshire Restaurants is, and how this all started?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
What, do people
Boucher.
not?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Boucher.
Oh, geez, Boucher.
That's when I know they don't know me. They actually, sometimes they'll drop my name in one of the restaurants.
Don't you love that when they do that?
I know Tom Boucher. And the bartenders will go, oh, you know him well, do you?
Yeah, right. They've done that before when I've been sitting right there and I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, hi. It's funny people.
Yeah. So Great New Hampshire Restaurants has been around for 40 years. It combines our three concepts. First one is our flagship called T-Bones, Great American Eatery. And the second is Copper Door. We have two of those locations. T-Bones, we have 6. And then Cactus Shacks is in Laconia.
Beautiful. So let's go back because your story is wild to me in the best way, of course. You turned down a full scholarship to Villanova to wait tables. Walk me through that moment and, what were you thinking?
Well,
we're going way back.
We are. I tell people this a lot. And I tell even some of the young people that work for us, when you're 22 years old, think back when you were 22.
Oh,
you
boy.
don't really have life figured out. You have no idea, right? So I was at Villanova and I was getting my master's and I just did some soul searching and said, okay, if I get my master's, what am I going to do? I'm either going to be a professor and teach or a teacher, which would require more education, by the way.
True.
Or I was going to work in some chemistry lab. And I just thought about it and said, I just can't see myself doing that. So I went home. I remember my dad was very supportive and he's like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I said, I could picture myself owning a restaurant someday. Those are my exact words. He tells the story.
Goodness.
He tells the story all the time. And then I just started waiting tables at a place called T-Bones, which was in Hudson. And that was in this late fall because I left before the first semester ended. And I started waiting tables at Hudson T-Bones in 1987.
So you went from server to general manager. How fast did that happen?
Not that fast. It took, within about 3 months, a manager came to me and said to me, you should be a manager. And again, I'm 22 years old and I'm like, okay, sure. And he said, yeah, but I mean in the kitchen. And now I'd never worked a day in my life in a commercial kitchen. And I still said, sure. So I went into the kitchen and I trained and worked my ass off all summer at Salem T-Bones as a sauté cook.
Oh.
I remember I worked 25 nights out of the 30 days or 31 days in the month of July. Yeah, working sauté. Founders of T-Bones opened Bedford T-Bones in 1989. And I transferred there and shortly thereafter became the head kitchen manager and then general manager by 1991.
So when did you know, bring me back to the moment when you knew, like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Was it that early on or did it still take a little bit? Or
It started then. And I think this is true for anybody that starts in hospitality. You either get bit by the bug and you love that fast pace, think on your feet. Nothing's ever the same. It's chaotic, but somehow it comes together.
It's magical.
Yeah. And
we're crazy.
There's just something different about it. And if you've never experienced it, you won't get it. But that's what just hit me. And I love the creativity, the innovation that you had to just, like I already said it, but think on your feet and figure things out. We actually have a sign in our office that my wife put up and it says, everything is figureoutable.
I like that. My dad has on his desk, did you make it better today?
Yeah. Perfect.
And it's at every diner you walk in and you'll see it up there. And that's my dad's, dad's saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, see. Yeah. So you knew early on. You did.
I did.
So I have to ask you this. You've been on my old radio show a couple of times. What made you say yes to coming back and doing this with me in a whole new format?
I've seen a few of your shows, and I thought, yeah, I like to talk about the history of our company, and I think it's an important story to tell because, without sounding too arrogant, T-Bones is an institution in New Hampshire. 41 years is no joke, and you know that you've been in business for incredible
39 years. I'm just 1 year. Yeah.
So and so I'm just really proud of that. And it is. I do have more to share because I'm not the founder of the company, right? I didn't start the company, but I am the majority owner and the CEO of the company now. And sadly, well, I'll just fast forward. As time went on, I became an owner within the T-Bones group because I asked for it. And for anybody that's young out there listening, things don't just get handed to you. You have to ask for it and you have to go for it if you want it. And I did. And I asked for it. And they said, you got it. And it basically was like stay with us for 5 years and we'll vest you a certain amount. And then you've got to put in real cash too, which I did. And my dad was instrumental in that because my dad believed in me and loaned me the money when we opened Cactus Jack's in Manchester that I paid him back almost all of it, but he let some of it slide because I was the least expensive son putting them through college.
I love it. So 8 restaurants across 6 communities is not an accident. I mean, that's a system.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through how you built, the operating culture, the thing that makes, all of them feel like the same, really.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue to how it all happened in the summer of 2007. At that point, we had just opened Laconia, T-Bones, and Cactus Jack's. And the 3 founders, Peter, and Mark, 2 of them were older. The 2 Peters decided that they wanted to retire. So Mark and I bought them out of all the restaurants and some of the commercial properties that we owned. In fact, it was a 2-day closing. It was New Year's Eve 2007, New Year's Day 2008.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we missed Christmas completely. We literally worked right through Christmas. We didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you, of course, remember what happened in 2008. The economy went in a tanker and we had just borrowed north of $3 million. And I was in panic mode, like big time. And anyway, we didn't make a lot of money, Mark and I, through 2008, 2009. But then as things came back around, that's when we both opened and initiated the new concept, Copper Door, which was, again, kind of outside our comfort zone.
Right. It was totally different.
Yeah. Upscale but not fine dining. And we hit a home run with the location. Obviously, I tell people it sits on the only east-west highway in New Hampshire, which is pretty incredible. And part of our formula, you're going back to the formula, we build big restaurants on very busy roads with big parking lots. That's our formula. I joke about it because Steve Dupree, who's a good friend of ours, he actually was the one that when we opened Concord T-Bones, another highway location, we collaborated with Steve Dupree because he owned the true Hilton Hotel. And so we did a condo and we'd have cross easements with parking. And it's been great. I mean, it's our number one T-Bones up until we just opened our brand new Hudson T-Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just incredible. It's the carbon copy of Concord. Like we literally just did copy paste. And it's 2 miles south of where the restaurant that I originally started at.
Wow.
It's only 2 miles south, but it's right, again, it's another highway exit 2 off of the Everett Turnpike location. It's right next to Walmart across from Sam's Club. And they are killing it. Like they're up about 75% year over year.
Wow.
From the old location.
And you just
2
opened.
miles away. Yeah. Yeah. They're doing really well. It's just that much closer to Massachusetts and it's so easy to get to because it's that highway location.
Right off. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Anybody selling highway locations out there, give me a call.
Call Tom. We jumped ahead a little bit, but that's okay. And we were no. Like you said, Copper Door was something totally different. Went a little bit more upscale, a little bit more expensive, more risk. What convinced you that, that was the right move at the time?
Well, it wasn't like a brilliant brainstorm, like just came to me. It was a combination of C.R. Sparks. I'm sure some of your listeners remember C.R. Sparks.
Of course.
Chuck Rolacek, the founder and owner, was way ahead of his time. That restaurant, it was the restaurant to be at in Southern New Hampshire. It belonged in...
To be seen, to be at.
Yeah,
it was.
It belonged in like a big city, right? Like it was something New Hampshire really hadn't seen. And I give him a lot of credit for being ahead of his time. And so when he sold to Lexus, there was a big void in that level of dining because it wasn't fine dining and it wasn't casual dining. It's upper casual.
Right.
And so one of the lessons that I did learn was, as you recall, I am sure you were there many times, that bar was very small, very, very small. Yep. And that was the only thing that I said, you know what? Chuck did everything right, except that bar was too small. But he didn't know. Like, he didn't know how pop it was going to be.
Right.
So we built a big bar, as you know. And one of the things that we did a little bit different too was we created these little seating areas. Like, if you want to be at the bar and hang out and converse with a stranger you don't know, that's available. If you want a little private 2-seater booth, that's available. If you want like a lobby lounge kind of feel, there's an area called the Roost, which has nice, like, basically hotel lobby furniture.
Couch or nice chairs, yeah.
And then, of course, we've got the main dining rooms, and then we've got the two.
I like the community table.
Yeah, and the butcher block.
I love the butcher block.
Yeah, everybody
I love that.
does. It's definitely a nice scene. You can either... I sit there a lot and I just start conversing with people and they don't know who I am. Isn't
that the best part?
I love it. I enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah. So on Copper Door, I know the story of the actual Copper Door and I love this story. So you need to tell the story of the Copper Door at the Copper Door.
Yeah. So
I love it.
I'm on the board of directors for the National Restaurant Association. I've been on the board for 20 years and I'm a Maritime now, which means I'm a voting member forever as long as I participate. So through that 20 years, my wife and we've dined at some of the coolest restaurants around the country because our meetings change from it's East Coast, West Coast in the winter to keep it fair for everybody to travel. And then, of course, we go to Washington, D.C. and then Chicago for the show. Well, over the 20 years, there have been times where they rent out entire restaurants like the Copper Door for meetings or just a social event. And so I got to see these really amazing restaurants, my wife and I, and we had dreamed of opening something like the Copper Door, something upscale but not pretentious. And I remember going to the old Shorties in Bedford when it was open, and my wife and I were having some snacks and margaritas, and she drew on a cocktail napkin. She's like, this place should be like something upscale. It should be called like the Copper Door. And she literally drew the door because at the time Shorties had that arch door and she drew it and you can see the sign.
I can picture that door too. You're right.
Well,
wow.
Yeah. So if you see the sign as you're walking into the Copper Door, it says pull with passion because it's very, very heavy. And it shows the original napkin drawing that my wife did. So, and the reason I love the name because it's memorable. Sometimes you hear these restaurant names and you're like, what was the name of that place?
Yeah.
I want it to be memorable. When you actually touch the actual door, you're touching someone else's, one of their 5 senses, right? You're actually touching the actual Copper Door. And then, of course, the main reason is my wife came up with the name. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the construction of the Copper Door. I mean, what went into that? I love when you talk about that.
Yeah. So as I said, my wife and I took a lot of notes over the years. We took pictures. And so we had an idea. And when we worked with the architect, what we wanted it to look like. And one of the key features of it was those giant exposed beams, which I just loved. I loved that open airness of C.R. Sparks too. So I'm not gonna take all the credit. Yeah, that open air.
Yeah,
and even the chandeliers that my wife picked out. She's an interior designer and an artist, so she did what the look of the inside looks like, the colors and the chairs and the booths and the flooring, all the hard surfaces. My partner Mark had a ton to do with the architect on how the actual restaurant was laid out, RE, the kitchen equipment, where the private dinings, how the bar was angled. That was actually my partner Mark's idea. I had the bar kind of angled a bit. It just makes it more interesting as opposed to everything just being straight.
Yeah, it's true. It is. It's kind of angled like. Now that you're saying it, I guess I didn't really notice, but you're right. And then it was done purposeful.
Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with that double-sided fireplace. We knew 6 months of the year it's going to have that cozy, warm feeling. And I just love it. I love how it's inviting, it's warm, but it's not pretentious. I literally I had lunch there today after I got done working out. I did. I came in with my shorts on and my sweatshirt, and I had lunch at the bar, and I was fine. And somebody sitting next to me actually was a nice family coming in, all dressed up. I don't know where they were coming from, and that's the kind of feel that we wanted to have.
I miss that when we used to live right next to Copper Door in Bedford. And I tell this story a bit. We used to eat in there so much. I was embarrassed when I got my CU boiling points at the end of the year, the amount of money that we got. I was like, are you kidding me? We did this much. Yeah.
We do the same thing with T-Bones Paybacks program.
Your loyalty program is by far...
We're actually looking to combine the two so that you only have one account. And
so it'll be throughout.
And we're looking to kind of change it up a little bit as opposed to what it's been for almost 30 years.
Okay, so you opened your 6th T-Bones right in the middle of COVID, 2020. What was going through your mind?
Wow. I was horrified. I'll tell you, it's a day that, let me back up. Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020. I look at our sales every single day. I just, we go online, I look and see whether we're up or down, same day, year over year. I just like doing it. It's fun for me. I keep my finger on the pulse.
Yeah, my dad does the same thing up there. Yep.
And I'm looking at that week and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be down like 20%, like out of the blue. So I called my partner, Mark, and I said, Mark, something's up. I'm going to call an emergency meeting on Monday for the leadership team. We're going to be down 20%. I said, we got to make some big labor cuts. And I said, what if they close the restaurants? He looks at me and he goes, close the restaurants? What are you talking about? I'm like, this COVID thing they're talking about. I don't know. Literally, that's the conversation we were having. So on that Monday, it's about 10:04. I walk into 20 West at the Copper Door. Leadership team's there. I've got my agenda. And my partner, Bill Greiner, who's an investor, he knows Governor Sununu very well. And he came walking in, he hung up the phone, and he goes, that was Governor Sununu. He's coming on in 10 minutes. He's going to announce that the restaurants are closing at midnight. The whole room just went silent, and they all looked at me, and I'm like, I tore up the agenda. I'm like, okay, we got to reach out at the time to 900 employees and tell them not to come into. Like, we worked until about midnight just trying to get a hold of everybody. And it was just insane it was surreal. I'll never forget it. I get chills telling the story right now.
So, and then you went in front of state legislature that spring. I mean, you shared your actual financials, revenue down 80%, losing $140,000 a week. That takes guts. Mm-hmm. Why did you do it?
I was actually pretty vocal during that whole period. I went on national TV a number of times to talk about it because I felt people needed to hear how incredibly damaging it was to our industry. Cruise ships, same thing. I get it. Airlines, same thing. But restaurants, we're the second largest employer in the United States with, I think it's somewhere around 15 million employees now. And we're a giant industry. And I just wanted people to know, like, this is affecting millions and millions of people's livelihoods. And I needed them to hear for what the real numbers were. I'm a believer. When I meet with our legislators, I have no fear whatsoever. I'm an open book and I'll share exactly our numbers because I want them to see it, including, most recently, the Credit Card Competition Act, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's important that our legislators hear from real small business owners. And yes, I consider ourselves a small business. We're not giant like, Amazon and whatever.
Right.
But I just think it's important. But so let me tell you about when we opened Concord. So here we are. It's March 20th. Now, we're literally, as they say, we're pregnant, right? The steel's up, the building's closed in. We're constructing the inside, and we can't even open a restaurant that, we spent in upwards of $6 million to get that place open. All said and done, everything in, right? Training, etc. And so, fortunately, Primary Bank, the local bank here not here in Manchester. They are in Manchester, but they're in Bedford.
Yeah.
They're our company that we finance with, and they were incredibly cooperative and just said, when you guys get open, that's when you can start paying your loan.
Wow.
And we didn't get open until late August because the booth manufacturer down in Georgia was closed, so we couldn't get our booths made. And so here we are. We opened late August, 125 employees hired. Of that, about 75 are front of the house. They're all wearing masks, so all you can see is eyeballs, all brand new employees.
Terrible.
We had
It
names.
was awful.
Oh my God. It was like the most inhospitable time to open ever. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't see smiles. You couldn't.
I know. And we had to put up all those partitions and all this kind of stuff.
When we did our ribbon cutting, I'm not even kidding. You can't make this stuff up. I look back at that whole period and it's just nuts. We did a ribbon cutting and we invited Senator Shaheen, Senator Hassan. At the time, it was Governor Sununu. I forget who else, but at least those three major politicians. And then the mayor of Concord. We literally had to take a picture of each person individually and then in certain spots. And then we photoshopped it together and had to put that we had to put that in the caption that said, please note, these photos were taken individually. They were not standing within 6 feet of each other.
Brother, crazy, right?
Believe it.
Wow. Okay, so all that happened. And then November 2023, you lost your business partner, Mark. 40 years together. How do you even process something like that in the middle of running a company?
Yeah, it was the most difficult time in my life. Like you said, a partner of almost 40 years. And he had a very aggressive form of cancer. And I didn't find out until about 3 weeks before. And he went very, very fast. And it was a real shock to the company, because he was one of the founders, right? And he was, at the time, he was the CFO, but he was much more than the CFO. He was the smartest guy you will ever meet. Never went to college, but could tell you how this microphone works. He could tell you how he knew more about the plumbing and electrical and sprinkler work that's done in our restaurants than the contractors. Like he would have the contractors scratching their heads. Like that's how brilliant he was. He just knew so much about so much. I don't know how else to phrase it, but yeah, it was a very difficult time because, and again, this is a lesson for other small business owners out there. We had, fortunately, this is why you have buy-sell agreements in place. Because when someone passes, a business partner passes, the last thing you want to do is be negotiating or talking about what are we going to do, how much is it worth, and what do we bet. All of that had been decided well in advance with our buy-sell agreements with our corporate attorney. Yeah.
Wow. This episode is powered by Red Arrow Diner. All 4 locations officially open around the clock. Swing by Manchester, Nashua, Concord, or Londonderry whenever hunger hits. From pancakes at 2 a.m. to fries and gravy for breakfast, we've got your cravings covered. Red Arrow, New Hampshire's favorite 24-hour diner tradition. For those of you that might just be tuning in, I am here with Tom Boucher, CEO of Great New Hampshire Restaurants, and I'll have all of the socials and everything all in the show notes. So yeah, oh boy, wow. Let's talk about FEEDNH, because I think a lot of people drive past T-Bones or Cactus Jacks, or they sit down at Copper Door and they don't know this side about what you've built. Tell me what FEEDNH is. Oh, there we go. I'm like, what is he doing?
I'm wearing my FEEDNH hat. It's on the back of my hat. Yeah, actually, speaking of Mark Fenske, my partner, my late partner, he and I started it was called Great New Hampshire Restaurants Charitable Trust. And we started this 11 years ago. And the acronym FEEDNH.org we're basically a fundraising organization. And we help other New Hampshire nonprofits that help families, which is F and feed, elderly, education, and the disadvantaged.
FEED.
There you go. And that was very purposeful that we chose those 4 categories. The first 3 being families, elderly, and then education as it relates to hospitality. Mostly because that's who we serve, right? We serve families. We serve elderly. It's no secret. Seniors love T-Bones. The culinary piece or the hospitality piece just fits naturally. And then disadvantaged, we kind of just left that broad enough because it applies to animals too. It's not just for people. We look at anything or anybody that's disadvantaged or any living thing, if you will, that's disadvantaged. Yeah. And so over the last 11 years, we've given back over 1.5.
Okay, up to 1.5.
Yeah,
wow.
1.5 million back to other nonprofits, only in New Hampshire. And the thing, what's really great about it is, we don't just give, we still do. We still give a $25 gift card, Little League team or whatever, but it really helped us stay focused on who we're going to help and not just doing what I call a shotgun approach, and you just give it a little bit here,
exactly.
a little bit there.
It gets so out of hand, and then you don't know.
Right.
It ends up meaning, not that it means nothing, but it's just.
Well, and part of what I love about it is there's an application process. If you go to feednh.org, you actually have to apply, and we're very specific about the questions that we ask, including what is this money going to be used for specifically? It can't just be used for general funds. We want to know what it's for. We also look at their financials to see how much are they spending on administrative, and how much are they truly giving to these other nonprofits?
Right.
So, and we learned that, believe me, at the beginning, we were like, but now we're particular, and we're getting, because we're more well-known, we're getting dozens of requests every quarter, and we meet quarterly. And it's really fascinating because, as I said, some of these are small nonprofits, some that I've never even heard of. And when we give them a check for $5,000, that's like a giant amount. And we've given as much as $25,000 to, like CASA. I'm on their advisory council. We've given them, I think, as much as $25,000. So it means a lot to these small nonprofits.
So what drives your commitment for this?
Again, the community has been amazing to our company for 40 years. And quite frankly, our employees, especially the younger ones, they really love that they're working for a company that gives back. That's important to them.
Yeah, it means a lot. It does.
And it means a lot to our customers when they see that we're not just this money-hungry, profit-seeking company. That's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you just mentioned, CASA of New Hampshire, the Boys and Girls Club, kids learning to cook at MST. I read about your daughter being a guidance counselor in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Did that shape how this worked out at all?
Well, it's funny. She's no longer a guidance counselor. She now works for a nonprofit in Nashua.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. It's called the Front Door Agency. She does all their marketing and social media, and she loves it. Yeah, she's a very thoughtful, caring person. She loves it.
See that? Look what happened through all that. So, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll be honest with you, as someone who's been in the industry in New Hampshire for almost 40 years like you, and as someone who sat down at your restaurants and as a guest, knowing that the people behind the food are also behind something like FEEDNH just makes me proud. It's proud of what we do in this state. What does it mean to you personally to be able to give back at this level?
It's interesting because I was just thinking about that recently because I speaking to someone and they said 1.5 million. And then I sat there and I thought, that is pretty cool.
That's
cool. Pretty cool. And
in 11 years.
Yeah. And it just, it does. It touches me in a way that I didn't think we would have that much impact. I guess that's what it comes down to. I thought, we'll create this little nonprofit. We'll help and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And now it's just grown into this amazing organization. As a matter of fact, my business partner, Dan Fraser, he's the chief operating officer. His daughter, Emma, runs the nonprofit FEEDNH. She's been with us for probably close to 7 years. Started as a hostess, worked as a server, came in the office as a, administrative assistant. And then when the position became available a year and a half ago, she rose her hand and she's crushing it. She's doing amazing.
This segues me right into this. So every single manager that you have started in an hourly role. That's a very specific culture. Mm-hmm. Why is that a non-negotiable for you? Well,
it's interesting. We were just talking about this recently too. You sitting in on my meetings, Carol, and listening?
No, I'm not, I promise.
So we've actually just recently started to hire a few people from off the street to be managers, and we found it's very, very difficult for them to acclimate to our culture because
they already know their ways, and it's hard to change their ways.
So that's really been an important piece for our company. Is one of our core values is made from scratch, and it doesn't mean just the food. Has two meanings for us. Made from scratch is what we do with all of our food. But we also make our people from scratch, like Emma Fraser, right? She started as a hostess, and look at her now. She's running FEEDNH, an incredibly popular and successful nonprofit. Lisa Allen, she's our chief administrative officer.
She's been with you a long time.
She started as a server at Bedford T-Bones and then became a bartender manager. And then guess what she did? She came to me and said, I want to work in the office. Here's my proposal. And she put together a proposal. I want to work 8 hours a week. I said, okay. And then it went to 16 hours a week. Then it went to 24. Then it went to 30 over the years. And then within a couple of years, she was full-time and she was the office manager. We're talking 20 years ago. And now here she is, chief administrative officer. She's probably the top 3 person in our company. She's an owner in the company. And that's another person made from scratch, right? Like as part of creating her own position. Yep. And another lesson there, right? She asked for the position.
Right. So you, like you said, you just have to ask.
Yeah.
You just have to ask.
Chef Nicole, same thing. She's made from scratch. She started as a server and then a bar manager in Laconia. And we created that Chef Nicole brand around her and her skills and her ability to speak in public, which is important because she was the face of the company for many, many years.
Right.
Still is.
Yeah. I just had her on episode 29. She talked about her role as your director of marketing and menus. And I remember thinking, you have an entire person, an entire department dedicated to that across 3 completely different restaurant concepts.
Right.
What does the internal structure of Great New Hampshire restaurants actually look like? What departments do you have that people wouldn't expect? What does that look like at the office? It must be.
It's a great question. So Nicole is the director of marketing. In her marketing office, she has our web guy, for lack of a better term, but he's all websites.
Yeah, like techie web guy. Oh, yeah.
But he does way more than that. Like he doesn't just do the 3 different websites. He does all of our camera work, all the tech work, all of our servers, like anything tech related, it's him. And then we've got a part-time graphic designer he lives in Florida. He's been with us for 20 years. He lived here for a long time and then decided to move to Florida and asked if he could work remotely. And he's an incredible graphic designer.
And it's working.
He's the one that came up. Well, I told him what I wanted the Copper Door logo to look like. It took him 3 tries and then he nailed it. Because I said, I want it to be like kind of cursive, but not too fancy, but classy, and he nailed it. Same thing with the new T-Bones logo down in Hudson. We've upgraded that logo and he did that. Like he's just incredibly talented. So that's just the marketing department. And then we've got a human resource department. Actually, Dan Fraser's wife is the senior HR administrator.
Wow.
She's been with us for 25 years, I think. Yeah, it's a very, very closely held company. And then of course we've got an accounting department with 3 people in there. I think there's 15 people that work at the home office.
Wow. See, that's a lot. How does the decision-making flow across 3 brands that are all so different in feel?
Yeah. Another great question. So that's where we rely on our culture. We have 7 core values, and don't ask me to name them all. I could probably get them all. But those 7 core values are the same across all 3 brands.
Okay.
The only difference between the different concepts is the atmosphere and the menus. But the way we operate, it's the same. Now Copper Door may do a few more upper scale service related things, but for the most part, it's the same. It's the same culture, the same operations, the same management structure. The busier stores have we operate with 6 full-time managers. Most restaurants don't even come close to that. They run it very, very thin. And we know that. We specifically run with 6 managers. The 2 Copper Doors run with 7. I think Salem runs with 8 because of the volume that they do.
Right.
So, and it gives them some quality of life too, right? They're only working 45 hours a week.
Yep.
They obviously get vacations, but if you've been with us for 20 years or more and you've just heard me mention, I don't know how many people, they get 4 weeks vacation. Yeah. And we also have special holidays that they get to take off. Obviously, Christmas and Thanksgiving, most people have off, but we give them 5 other holidays. Actually, this year it's 3, but we're giving them, like, for instance, T-Bones was closed on Easter. It's not a big day. Probably would have been big because it was raining, but the managers got to know in advance that they get paid for that holiday and they're able to spend it with their families. And even the employees, they get to spend Easter with their families. 4th of July, same thing. We're closing.
Which is really unheard of in the restaurant business. Yeah. I mean, usually, you're in the restaurant business, you're working weekends and holidays
and we tried to, we did that coming out of the pandemic, and I'm sure you experienced this too. It was hard to find employees. And, I remember in 21, we closed for 9 weeks on Mondays. We didn't have enough employees and we were burning them out.
Yeah.
And the same thing with
terrible
managers.
Time.
Yeah, same thing with managers. It was just, so we said, you know what? because, and I'm going to speak pretty candidly here, because of some of the legislative things that have happened in the last, call it 6 years, it's put a lot of pressure on small businesses to do more for frontline employees and less for the managers because of, I'll give you an example, healthcare. It's costing our managers more now than it did 5 years ago, significantly. And the employees are paying less. And so I keep trying to find ways to balance that scale back out because it's become imbalanced. And so that was one of the ways we did it, by giving those extra paid holidays and some other things.
Right. Huh. I own diners, but our teams, they run the floor. I found over the years that the culture you build at the top is the culture your guests feel at the table. Does that match what you've experienced?
100%. Yeah. And that's why, I'll give you another tool that we use, and it's called the three-legged stool approach to decision making. Something that I borrowed from Walt Disney 25 years ago. I went to their Disney Institute of Creativity and Innovation, and it was fascinating.
Wow.
It was all behind the scenes of Disney. We didn't see one single theme park. It was all behind the scenes, like how they get creative.
That must be so cool.
Creative and innovative in the dry cleaning area. Like, it was fascinating. So one of their... Is that like a course you can do to go there? Yeah. I don't know if they still have it, but
wow.
Yeah, it was cool. So basically, the philosophy is this, and this is how we approach it: as big or as small of any decision that a manager can make, it needs to be good for the customer, it needs to be good for the employee, and it needs to be good for the business. So that's the three legs of the stool, so that it stays balanced. And that's hard because sometimes stool becomes imbalanced because we're doing a little bit more.
Too much here or not enough here.
But it keeps everybody's mind kind of focused on, let's make sure we're not just being money hungry for the company, because that's not good for the customer or the employee.
Right.
So it keeps it very front and center in your mind.
Here's something I think about. When you've been doing this as long as we have, there's a temptation to stop taking risks. You could have, stayed with T-Bones forever. You opened Copper Door. You launched FEEDNH. You built a commissary. What keeps you from just coasting?
So, this is a great question. I'm 61.
Ooh, I'm doing good.
You are doing good. I'm 61 years old. I've been doing this for 40 years. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know that I have it in me to do it as long as your dad's been doing it. Okay.
And he ain't going nowhere, and he's 85. Do you believe that? So, he knows nothing else. It's crazy.
So what keeps me going is I want that next generation to have what I had afforded to me. The people like Nicole Barrera, who's, 25 years younger than me. Selena McGinnon, she's been with us for 10 years. She's our controller. She's, I don't know, 33 maybe. But and she's got 5 children, and she's amazing. And then Adam, he's a director of kitchen operations. He's probably 40. So they've got a long way to still go.
They can continue this.
Yes. And then there's another layer below them that see what Adam and Nicole and Selena are doing, and they want that. So without providing that hopeful opportunity for them, you're going to lose good people. So I'll give you 2 little insiders. This is very risky, but we're doing it. We applied. I don't know if we won yet, but we applied to be the I-95 food service provider for the I-95 rest area rebuilds.
Ooh.
For the liquor stores in the rest areas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like the Common Man did the ones
huge,
on 93.
Right? Yeah.
So partnering with Dick Anagnost and my partner Bill and some other companies, but we put a bid in as the food service provider. It would be a fast casual concept. So we'd be doing 3 different concepts. One would be T-Bones, one would be Cactus Jacks, and one would be a concept that we've had in development called the Plump Tomato.
Ooh.
So think about the 3 most popular fast casual chains, right? Five Guys, Chipotle, and Blaze Pizza or Mom.
I was going to say it's got to be pizza.
Yeah. So those are all fast casual. So we're going to do our style, our T-Bone style,
right.
Fast casual burgers, and fast casual Chipotle Cactus Jacks roll-ups, and then fast casual pizza.
Wow.
So hopefully,
love that.
Cross your fingers. And we're calling
and you heard it here on Beyond the Plate.
Yeah, we're calling it the Granite Counter because it's going to be one long piece of granite from Concord Granite. And then we'll have the 3 different concepts where you can walk up and you can order, and then whatever you want, your family can get one of each, and your order will come up for
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, it's exciting. Big project, though.
Very exciting.
Big project.
Yeah, huge.
And then the other one is we're very close to putting an LOI in for a copper door in Nashua.
Oh.
Another highway site.
Well, they work. You know they work.
So we'll see. Those are in the pipeline, and that's what I'm charged with my team right now, is to continue to find ways to grow the company, whether it's with our existing brands or something new.
So before we move to a lightning round, is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you want people to know about any one of your restaurants that we didn't quite hit?
No, just one of the things that we've done in the last few years that I think is really important for what I call mature restaurant brands like yours, like mine, is to reinvest and reinvigorate your brands. And we've done that. We've put in Laconia, we built this, it's called the Winnie Deck. It seats 100 people. It has an incredible view of Paugus Bay. We built it last year and it was wildly successful. It was just, again, something new and fun, and reinvigorated that brand. We remodeled Bedford T-Bones completely, doubled the size of their bar. You know, it's just constant. As a matter of fact, my wife is the director of interior and exterior appearance. And so she
even has an official title now.
Yes, she does. And she works for the company. And so she goes around and does like these audits and just looks, well, we got to repair this, replace this carpet. We got to, replace this pair of blinds. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So we've got an annual budget that we work with on replacing, whether it's appearance or CapEx, things like air conditioning units and ice machines. Yeah.
I love it.
It's a wild machine that runs amazingly.
All right. Quick and honest. Ready?
Okay.
What was your first job ever?
Painting houses.
Ooh. If you weren't in restaurants, what do you think you'd be doing?
Painting houses.
Come on.
Honestly, I probably would be in tech, because my dad worked for IBM for almost 35 years and all my brothers are in tech. I think I would have ended up in tech. Okay. And I love tech.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Best thing on the T-Bones menu that people sleep on?
CBC.
Ooh.
Chicken, bacon, cheddar.
Okay.
Been on the menu since day one. As a matter of fact, while we were cleaning out the old Hudson T-Bones, someone found the original Hudson T-Bones menu from 1986. And the CBC price was $4.95.
Isn't that awesome? Oh, well, that'll be today's. What was the last meal that you ate at Copper Door? What did you order? What did you have for lunch today?
I had the Italian chicken sandwich, which is on their seasonal spring menu.
The most important thing you've learned from 40 years in this business in one sentence?
Absolutely expect the unexpected.
Okay. All right. I like that. Favorite spot in New Hampshire that's not one of yours?
Oh, really put me on the spot. I haven't been there in a while, but I would say Crown. I like Crown.
We like the Crown too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know why too? Because again, it's not fine dining.
Right. It's in the middle. You're right.
Yeah.
Casual, but yet.
And Stephen does a great job.
He does.
He's a legend when it comes to his food.
He is.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with any New Hampshire business leader, living or not, who would it be?
I would say it has to be a business leader.
Doesn't have to be.
I would say that's a hard one, because I would say Governor Kelly Ayotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're at the Red Arrow. What are you ordering?
Oh, I mean, my go-to is eggs over medium, bacon well done, hash browns, and wheat toast.
There you go. All right.
Pretty basic, but.
No, that's okay. One word that describes what makes great New Hampshire restaurants different.
We probably already covered it, but made from scratch. Like that is such a core piece of who we are, because it applies to the food and it applies to people that work for our company.
Are you saying that like that?
Yeah.
Best advice that you ever got?
My former partner, Peter Saris, he was my mentor. He's the one that taught me the business side of the business. He had an economics degree. I took one semester of business. So he literally taught me what I know about business. But his one quote that I still preach to our managers today: tell the harsh truth to people when you're trying to coach them. Just don't tell it harshly. And I love that because that's what it's really about. If you're giving feedback and coaching an employee, you're helping them. You're helping them see something that they don't necessarily see. Don't harm them. Don't beat them up for it. Just share what you're seeing.
Right. Counter or booth?
Well, counter.
Right. Yeah. Counter, bar / booth.
But even at diners, I mean, even we're at the airports. Yeah. I like counter.
Us too. Tom, when you look at everything you've built over the past 40 years in New Hampshire, the restaurants, the people, the foundation, what are you most proud of? And what do you want people to know about this industry that in this state that they may not see on the surface?
I'm most proud of we stay committed to New Hampshire, because we could have gone into Massachusetts and we've thought about it and we still might. But I love the fact that we are a pretty significant New Hampshire brand. And as a matter of fact, the application for the I-95 project, they specifically called out, we're looking for strong New Hampshire representation, not just chains. And I think that's something that's really unique about New Hampshire is that we are built on hundreds and hundreds of independents. And I think, and I know a lot of chain restaurant guys from the National Restaurant Association. I know the former chair of Rare Hospitality who owned Bugaboo Creek. And he said this. I said, sometimes I think the chains, they just feel like they just count rooftops, income, traffic count. That's all they do. And then they plop their restaurant in there. He's like, you're not far off. He's like, and that's why you kicked our ass in Bedford, because Bugaboo Creek was in Bedford where Press Cafe is. And he jokes about that. This was the chairman of Rare Hospitality. And he's spot on. He's like, you're absolutely right. The independents in smaller places like New Hampshire, they can kick the chain's asses up and down the street because we are local and people want to support local. They just do. It's especially New Hampshire.
Right. I don't know why I want to ask you this right now. Do you know, have you, it's kind of like been a little bit of a buzz, the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
I just heard about that. Yeah.
Will Guidara. You got to look it up.
Okay.
Look it up. Actually, you can get a whole small little synopsis of the book. It's a small book. It's not very big. Just Google Oprah's podcast with Will Guidara.
Okay.
She interviewed him just this past, it was either October or November. That'll give you the whole, you will love this guy. I'm actually going next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to a summit that he's putting on in Nashville on unreasonable hospitality. Okay. You would be all over that.
Cool.
Just listen to that podcast and it'll give you a whole, I have it in my car. I listen to it all the time in my car. So, but anyway.
It's great. Thank you.
I think you'll like him. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
This was fun. When I asked you how long is it going to be, and you're like, as long as you want to talk, I can talk about great New Hampshire restaurants all day long. As a matter of fact, my closing line in my presentation for the I-95 project was, I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to whoever you're going to choose, whether it's our group or another group, it's going to come down to trust. And the people of New Hampshire have entrusted T-Bones, just using T-Bones right now, for 40 years. And I said, so you can't go wrong if you're going to choose us because millions of people have trusted the brand for 40 years.
For 40 years. And 40 years, that's, like you said earlier, it's a big feat.
Yeah.
That's pretty huge. All right. So great New Hampshire restaurants, go find them, go eat the food, go experience what made from scratch actually tastes like. T-Bones, Copper Door, and Cactus Jack's, all right here in New Hampshire. And if you want to support something bigger, check out FEEDNH.org. And to everyone watching and listening to Beyond the Plate, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and share this episode with someone who loves good food and good people. Every share, every comment, every subscribe helps us keep bringing you conversations like this one. New episodes drop every Tuesday. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Carol.